Well, welcome back to Better Living. I'm here with Debbie from DK Treasures and Lighthouse Landing, and she's been here several times, and you've brought us some fun stuff to look at, where you want to talk specifically about Eddie York and an art exhibit that you guys have going on.
We do. Eddie York was a little-known artist in Toledo. He passed away in 1986 and left a legacy behind that most people don't even know about. There are a few people that do remember the mugs from down at Mug Shots or at Andre's, but they don't know the truth about Eddie, who was a brilliant man, who lived his life in isolation, who was a World War II hero with 4 Bronze Stars. He created many different kinds of art, and I brought several of them here with me.
Well, I want to talk about the bust first, and I don't know if we can get a shot. There was, look, I'm trying to look. There was a big bust behind you. Is it still behind you?
It is.
If we can show that. Talk about, because those were at Mugs, and there were several of those, right?
He did. There were quite a few of them, and several of them were signed. Jamie Farr actually came and signed the bust, as well as Kenny Rogers and Liberace. So there were 3 of them that were signed. He did a total of 90 different
oh my goodness.
busts, and 60 of them were famous people. So
that is a lot.
It is. It's amazing. And we're going to have upwards of 60 of them on display at our art exhibit, which will be in March, the 20th, 21st, and 22nd.
Well, and you said he's a little-known artist, but for those who do know him, probably the busts are what they know most of. But what were some other things that he did?
Well, you know, when he first started out, he didn't do bust. What he did was airplanes. He had a passion for airplanes, and World War I airplane in particular with Edward Rickenbacker. He really liked that pilot, and he actually got to meet him, and he came and he signed a portrait for Eddie, which Eddie kept all the years. But this is a life-size.
Scoot this over.
Yeah, this is a life-size airplane, and you can see Ed standing
a replica,
there.
A model.
Yes, a replica, and he made it all out of liquid wood, cardboard, tubing, whatever he found in the trash. He made it, and this stayed on display at the Toledo Zoo up until the last we can record was 1985.
That's fascinating. And it's got to be tedious work, too.
It was, and he built it in the back of a building, in a room, and he had it so he could disassemble it, take it apart, and put it back together again, because it was life-size.
He obviously had a lot more patience than I did, too, because if I did something like that, I would do it once, and then that would be it.
That would be it. And he had, and like I said, he took it apart several times, put it back together. It was on display, and he did a second one, which was the Red Baron of World War II.
Wow.
So
made famous mostly by Snoopy.
Absolutely. There you go. But one of his biggest creations that I think is not known is the coins that he made, replicas of ancient Greek and Roman coins in which he hand-carved, then poured silver in it, and then buried them for 2 years to get the patina. Now, there is a set of them on display in the Truman Museum in Independence, Missouri. I've confirmed that they're still there, proudly on display. Also at the Toledo Library on the 3rd floor, they can pull it out of the safe, and you can take a look at them there also.
That's really cool.
But if you want to see them, come on down to the art exhibit, because we're going to have a full set on display.
Well, I'm looking at some here, and it is fascinating. It is very detailed work, that is for sure.
Extremely, and some of them are so tiny, it's hard to believe that he was able to do that, but he did. And he used, these are the tools that he used. And
which is amazing, he could get such detail with such, I mean, for lack of a better term, crude tools.
Right, and he used everything from that he dug up out of the trash. Even when someone gave him a gift, such as a drill, he had to redo it to make it his. His spoons and his silverware at home, I have those too, and they had all this stuff added to it. So everything he did for himself, and he kept diaries. He kept journals, actually, of every day. So,
is it okay if I touch these?
Absolutely.
Okay. You never know. I don't want to mess something up.
Yeah.
So these are journals. This is fascinating because from everything you say, he's had to have been very eccentric.
Very much so, very much so. Withdrawn, he moved several times. People, of course, didn't understand him. He suffered from severe post-traumatic stress. He had outbursts, and, you know, people just did not understand him. And back in those days, people didn't know what that illness was, and they shied away from him and shunned him. And he had a rough time there for a while.
Boy, in these, I could sit and read these all day, I think.
I do.
It's fascinating. I mean, he wrote down everything from Sandy work alone, Ernie dishes, one ham, chips, I mean, pickles and onions.
Right.
This is really fascinating. So let's tell people, I got to put the book down and I'll just keep reading it. Tell people when the art exhibit is, give them all the details.
Okay, it's going to be held at Lighthouse Landing, which is out on 444-1 Summit Street in Point Place, Toledo, Ohio. It's going to be in the banquet hall. There are about 5,000 square foot of his exhibit. So it will be for 3 days, March 20, 21st, and 22nd. We do have a $2 cover charge, but the cover charge is going to go for two different things. Half of it's going to go to the book that's going to be written about Eddie. The other half is going to go to the War Memorial, World War II, in his honor.
That's awesome. I'm telling you, after looking at these books, the books alone would be enough to make you want to go to the exhibit. So
they are.
Make sure
They're
that
wonderful.
March 20th, 21st, and 22nd
Yes.
at Lighthouse Landing. Make sure that you check out the Eddie York art exhibit. It is fascinating stuff. We'll be right back on Better Living.